Alright, mate. So I did a bad thing and I downloaded the infamous TikTok app.
Oh my god.
Which I know, very late to the party, ship has sailed, and it's very cringe. Moving on. Before I get into the video, I want to start off with two things. First of all, it'd be super helpful if you could become a subscriber, because I don't have any and I would love you forever. The second thing is that this video might get a little bit dark towards the second point. There's 2 points that I want to make. First one's pretty lighthearted, kind of. The second one gets a little bit dark, but I'll put in a few trigger warnings and stuff, and you can click off at that point if you don't want to stick around. A lot of people, when they talk about TikTok that I've seen, and specifically the problems with TikTok, usually referring to like the nonces that are like noncing on kids on TikTok, which obviously is quite a big issue, but it's already been talked about. I noticed when I downloaded the app that there are two things that really not anybody speaks about, and they're pretty big deals. So the first thing that I saw when I went onto my For You page, I don't know how the For You page calculates what to show you, and I don't know why it was showing me this, but I got a lot of videos of people enjoying themselves and on different substances.
Oh, for God's sake, I can't honestly.
I mean, quite obviously, that's not body, is it? I, first of all, want to say that I don't really have an issue with people doing stuff. If you want to take substances, you do you. As long as you're being safe, you know what? I can't tell you how to live your life, right? And I'm not clueless to it. I go to festivals. I enjoy, like, techno music and stuff.
Ooh, you're hard.
But there is something to be said about sharing that online with the world, which is a little bit weird. I don't really have a problem with people taking stuff. If you want to take stuff, you do you, enjoy. The problem that I have is that some, like, obviously the clip share, I'm not going to share all of the clips that I saw, and specifically the ones that angered me. I follow a few of those, and I follow the ones that I just showed you because I think it's funny. It's my kind of humour, and I don't really give a shit. But there are other videos on there which I'm not going to show because it's bad, where the kids in the videos are very obviously, like, 13 years old. Like, they're kids. Like, kids. That's not good. Like, obviously, if you're taking this stuff, it's not healthy anyway. It's not exactly like it's a green smoothie. It's not got lemongrass in there or an avocado. Drugs are bad. Again, I'm not judging anybody. I classify any drug as the same as alcohol. I don't have an issue with people drinking. I don't have an issue with people taking other stuff because it's all the same thing, really.
I got a mail trip.
You know, when you're a kid, your brain is still developing, and the thing with those kind of substances is that they affect your brain. They affect how your brain regulates serotonin. So if you're taking them when you're that young, then when you get older, your brain is not really going to know how to do that on its own, and it's basically going to fuck you up for the rest of your life. So, you know, don't do it. It's pretty easy. Another thing is obviously the older people doing it are impressing on the younger kids doing it. Like, if you go to a rave, right, a lot of people there are in this same way. But nobody there is like 13, do you know what I mean? Because they can't get into the clubs. Whereas kids are coming on here and they're watching it, which kind of links onto the second point. They're quite similar in kind of like how I have an issue with them. Another thing as well is that when you get older, like, those videos that I got were easy to save down to my phone. You could be trying to get into uni, you could try to whatever, and your interviewer is like, my daughter saw your TikTok of you pinging off your nut. Do you know what I mean? Just don't do it. For some reason, I think people think it makes them look hard and cool. It's like, oh, your jaw's shaking. Oh, you're hard. I'm shaking. That's terrifying. No, you're not hard. You look like a knob. It's a bit embarrassing, really, because people are just taking it to look hard and film themselves and put it on the internet. Like, who does that? Like, who the actual fuck does that, apart from all these TikTokers? Just stop. Don't do that. Just enjoy yourself. Enjoy yourself. Live for the memories. Don't record it. Put it online where it's going to literally outlive you. And when you're in the ground, your grandkids are going to be watching videos of you pinging off your nut, which might sound great to some people, but realistically it's not. The second issue, this is where it's going to get a little bit dark, a little bit seriouser, so I'm, going to tone it down a little bit just because it's deep. So I'm going to be talking about self-harm and like eating disorders, mental health. So if you do have an issue with that, click away. If you want to watch something happier, I have a video on my channel of me dipping my balls in soy sauce. I've got another one of me butchering my hair. Oh, I should have just paid the money. Go watch one of those. Don't watch further if this is going to upset you. But the second thing, and this is the thing that kind of convinced me to make this video. The first one I could laugh along with and, you know, whatever. This one, it kind of triggered me a bit, and I'm not an easily triggered person, but I felt like I had to say something. So something which I found a lot of on TikTok is this like new trend where people are uploading these.
Maybe I need some rehab. Maybe I need some rehab. Maybe I need some rehab.
Obviously what these people are talking about is self-harming, and like I can't even begin to put into words how many things are wrong with this. Obviously I'm not having a go at them, and I'm not angry at them for doing those things, for having eating disorders or for self-harming. You know, it's a very sad situation to be in, and you know, I hope they get help. That's not what this is about at all. The issue that I have with it is kind of how they go about it, turning this into like some weird viral trend, like you're in some like cool kids club for doing it. That's where it starts to get messed up. And like all of the comments in all of these videos are all like, oh, how did I get this straight away? And oh, you wouldn't understand this, and if you don't get this, you're lucky, as if they're in some sort of like club and they're in some sort of clique. And it's like, no, that's bad. Don't encourage this. Just clarifying that I don't have an issue with them like finding community and kind of leaning on each other and relating to each other. I think that's really good. My issue is them making a viral comedy TikTok trend out of it, which is a bit messed up. And it feels like, I don't know, a lot of these TikTok people, because a lot of people doing this are quite big TikTokers, and there are a lot of young kids on TikTok who look up to these, and it's like glorifying it, and it's trying to make it funny, and it's just not okay. Like, there were a lot of comments in the comment sections that were saying that it's a coping mechanism, and, you know, it helps them get through it to, like, laugh at it, and I totally understand that. Like, making jokes of stuff, I get it, 100%, but it's different when you're, like, glorifying it. It's not making fun of it, it's not making a joke, and it's not personal, it's glorifying it to thousands of kids online, and that's not okay. And there seems to be this whole sort of culture at the moment where kids think it's like cool to be depressed, and it just boggles my mind. Like, why would anybody want this or like wish this on themselves or think it's fun or cool and want to post about it online? It just doesn't make sense. And I feel like this happens with every age group. This whole like e-boy, e-girl generation. Obviously I'm a little bit older, so I kind of missed it a little bit. I got scratched on the way out, but I missed it. But we had Scene Kids, which were pretty much exactly the same thing. And we had the exact same thing where people would like self-harm, but it was a bit different. Like the same glorification was there, but it wasn't published online. Like people tried to hide it, and it was kind of like, I don't know, it was still seen as like a trendy thing, and it was like this whole big thing where it's like seen cool to be like mentally unstable. You know, it wasn't like flaunted, and it wasn't like bragged about, because that's what a lot of these are doing. They're like bragging about it, like bragging about like, oh yeah, my scars sting because they're so deep. And it's like, don't brag about this, don't glorify this, stop it. There are kids watching, and they're going to try and copy you, and they're going to try to fit in and be in this cool kid club, and you know, it's an ongoing thing. I think that it says a lot about society that it seems to be always this age group which glorifies self-harm, and I feel like there's a bigger issue with society that we need to kind of look at. I feel like it's always going through school. I went through it personally. When I left school, it faded, and I think there's something there that needs to be addressed. But at the same time, like, when I was going through stuff, I didn't glorify it. I didn't make it seem like I was in some cool kids club. In fact, nobody knew about it. I hid it from everybody. I knew one friend knew. That was it. No family, no. I would do everything I could to keep it quiet because I didn't want to embarrass myself. I didn't want anybody else to worry, and I didn't want to make a big thing. Not saying that anybody should hide it and that's a good thing to do. That's a very bad thing to do. obviously speak about it. I'm just comparing the two experiences and how they're different. But these TikToks seem to be more looking for sympathy, and they seem to be, I hate to say it, attention seeky. I do want to say, and this is kind of like a quick note disclaimer thing, that I do think even if somebody is self-harming for attention, that's just as legitimate as if they were doing it and keeping it secret. I'm not saying that if you keep it secret then you're like actually depressed, and if you're doing it for attention you're not really depressed, you're doing it for attention. That's not what I'm saying. I think if you're in the mental space where you would hurt yourself for attention, you're equally in need of help than somebody who would keep it quiet. Do you know what I mean? I feel like they're both very similar, and they're both issues that are as big as each other. There's so much glorification on TikTok, and it's so messed up, and I don't get it. And maybe I'm just too old, maybe I don't get it, I just don't see what's funny in it. And it's, hate to be a buzzkill, I hate to be like the dad of TikTok and like trying to shut this down, but it is messed up, because there are kids that are going to watch that and want to be like that and then cut themselves so they can fit in and make TikToks. So don't do that. Don't make it a trend. Speak to your friends. Speak to people who are close to you. Go get help. Do it that way. I know this got really, really, really intense, but I really don't have to know what else to say. If you did need to be lined up after this, because I sure hell know I do, then I'll leave some videos here of mine which are a little bit more lighthearted. And if you did stick around, if you want to hear more from me, then subscribe. I'll love you for it. Take care of yourself. Love you. Bye.